Okay, hello everyone. Now, last time, this is the stage that we reached, which is pressing the letter C will open the door, pressing the letter X will snapshot the door. Now, what I want to do is add a process here, which is an animation to open the door, so it will open smoothly, and then we will look at how to close it using the letter X as well. Okay, so what I want to do is add it here within this line. So I'm going to break this connection first, so you just press break this link. Now what I want to add here is an animation, and animations in all animation software happen on something called a timeline. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to add a timeline. So I'm going to right click here and add timeline. You will find it here, add timeline. We will change the name of this timeline to door rotation, for example. Okay, so we will know that this is what this thing does. This is what this timeline does. Okay. Now, what we the way we set the settings for this timeline is that we have to double click the timeline, and this will take us to this empty area, which is some kind of a graph editor for the timeline. The next step is to add an animation track. All of this will become more obvious as we go on. This might be a bit confusing, but trust me, you will understand it at the end. So there are types of tracks that we can add. For now, we don't want to bother with anything other than a float track. A float is just a number with a decimal point. It's no more than that. Okay, so now I have this animation graph. Now for those of you who have dealt with animation graphs before, you know that going in this direction from right to left shows you time. Going up and down on this graph shows you value. Okay, now we can't set the rotation here. What we can do here is tell it how many times to do whatever animation it is at which point in time. Okay, so to explain this in a practical way, we add things called keyframes here. And a keyframe is basically a value at a given time that will be translated to whatever you want, rotation, transformation, whatever. So what we want to do here is open the door in 1 second. Okay, so the numbers here 0, 0.25, 0.5, these are time values. As we said, right to left is time. So this is at 0 time, this is at a quarter of a second, half a second, 3/4 of a second, 1 second, and so on. So after 1 second, I want my door to be fully open once. Okay, so at frame 0 or at time 0, I'll right click and add a keyframe. Okay, now the keyframe will show me time and value. So time is 0, set it to 0, exactly to 0, and the value in the beginning of the rotation is 0, right? Nothing is happening right at the beginning. But after 1 second here, I will add another keyframe, and now for this keyframe I want the animation to play once, which means that at time 1 second here, the value will be 1. Oops, I wrote 14. 1. I want to see the whole thing. So this is what will happen now. At time 0, the animation will not play. And then at time 1, the animation will play once. Now, again, we don't know yet, or the computer doesn't know yet, Unreal Engine doesn't know yet what this animation is for. All it knows is that it needs to play it once. Okay? So think of this as a multiplier. if I rotate by 90 degrees, then 90 is multiplied by 1, and it will open, and the door will be open 90 degrees. If the value of this is 2, then after 1 second, my 90 degrees will be multiplied by 2, so it will open 180 degrees. Now I'll show you how that works. I hope you understand this. So this is basically, you can think about it either as a multiplier or the number of times that the animation will play. Okay, this is one way to understand it. And we're done with this. We added 2 keyframes and we're done with this. Now we have an animation. As I said, Unreal Engine still doesn't know what this animation is exactly for, so we have to tell it now. So when C is pressed, play this animation, play this timeline. Okay, and then update the relative rotation, but this won't do anything because I didn't tell it what the animation is for. This is just passing an execution value of true and false. That's all. This number is irrelevant. So what I want to do now is tell it what kind of animation this is. So there are these nodes called lerp nodes, and basically they tell the computer, they tell Unreal Engine what it is exactly that needs to be moved. So I will write lerp, so LERP, and I will find these. So we have lerp rotation, lerp transform. For now, all this is all that we want to know. Okay, so we want a rotator. Okay, and this will tell it what to move exactly. Okay, so this track that we had, now look at this. I will go back to the animation animation graph. Now have a look at this, new track 0. I forgot to set the name for this. It doesn't matter, you don't need to set the name, but I'll show you where this gets updated from. So this is the name of this track. So I can go here and rename and say the name of this track is rotate door. Okay, now when I go back to the event graph, this is the output. This is the name of this track. So we'll tell it that this track will control the alpha of the rotator. Now the alpha is just a value that goes from 0 to 1. Okay, so this is what it multiplies with. Okay, so all we need to know for now, don't want to get too technical, all we need to know now is that we need this node as a rotator, or if we're moving it, then we need something called transform. Okay, so what's the value that we're changing? We're changing this value to 90. So this is the first state. The first state of it is 0. Okay, so this is, let's say this is keyframe 1, and this is keyframe 2. So this is what the end will be multiplied with. And what I want is X rotation 0, Y rotation 0, and Z rotation at 90. Okay, same as we did here. See? Z rotation at 90, but now we're doing it with an animation. So I'm telling it to rotate the door and multiply it by this value for the second keyframe. Okay, now once this is done, I need to connect this to set relative rotation. So this node now will read the rotation from here, because it's over time. So every millisecond or every frame, that is played in the game, it will look at the rotation and update this. See, update this by this much through an animation. Okay, so that's it basically. Now we can compile and save this and test the letter C and see what it does. So that's let's actually move closer to the door and press the letter C, and now it opens smoothly. Okay, now it does it only once, it doesn't do anything else. Okay, now if I want to close it, this is the trick. Where is my blueprint? Here it is. Now if you want to close this, all we have to do is go to the same animation and reverse the animation. Now fortunately, as you can see, there is a reverse pin here. Okay, so I'll just break this connection, and for the letter X, when it's pressed, just reverse this connection, and that's it. Okay, so I have now a letter that opens the door and a letter that closes the door. Compile and save. Nothing will happen here. Okay, compile and save and play. I'll get closer to the door so you can see it. So this is C and this is X, and for some reason, there it is, it's playing C and X. Okay, now one more thing I want to show you here is while we're here, is just introduce you to something called a collision. So at the moment, if I play the game and just move forward, my character goes through the door. Okay, now I can add collision to this door, so this won't happen. So I'll introduce you to the concept of collision here as well. I'll quit and go to the door, really. Yeah, go to the door. The tabs here say rendering, physics, miscellaneous, level of detail, and so on. I'll just go to general here and select the door and go. I'll find static mesh here. I can just double click on static mesh, and this will show me the properties of this static mesh. Now this is something that came with Unreal Engine, so I shouldn't really mess with it, but who cares? It's just a door. So you can do this for the door frame as well, so it won't go through the door frame, but at least we'll do it for the door now. I'm going to add a collision object to this, or a collision area to this. So collision, and I will add a box simplified collision, because this is a simple object. So I'm just going to add the simplified box collision. Okay, and that's it. Basically, we're done with this. Let's just save it and close it, and then now we should, if we go forward now when we play the game, we should get stuck at the door. So yeah, hope this helps. Okay, well, see you in the next one.